see.
When they're getting sworn in.
Oh, okay.
If they think they do what they are.
Yeah, I thought it was trouble. You never know.
We're ready? Okay. Fantastic. Thank you all for being here tonight for our regular council meeting of June 22nd, 2017. It's always good to have Denny with us. Mr. Manning, if you wouldn't mind coming to lead us in our invocation and pledge to the flag, I would appreciate it. If everyone would please stand.
I want to say one thing before I do this. I just want to tell all the council and the city manager and all the ladies up there and everybody out here, it's an honor. Somebody asked me the other day, does this get boring? I said, no, if you're saved, it ain't. But I enjoy it. I thank God for the honor to be able to do this. And, you know, I learned a long time ago, anytime you do something, Lord bless you some way or another. But I just want to tell every one of you, I appreciate all of it. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord. We thank you for this honor to be here tonight, Father. Watch over each and every one come to the meeting, Father. Watch over each council member, the mayor, and each city manager, each one of them here, Lord. And God, we ask you, Lord, not our will, but Lord, your will be done in this meeting. Everything is said or done and be done in the way you want it to be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Our pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the roll call, please.
Mayor Mabry,
Here?
Vice Mayor Sewell,
Here.
Councilmember Cagle,
Here.
Councilmember Hilton, here, Councilmember Williams,
Here.
City Manager Miller,
Here.
City Attorney Hitchens.
Here. I apologize for being a little less formal than I normally would be. Came straight from the airport trying to pick up a rental car. So we've been to 3 different places this afternoon trying to pick up a rental car. And I'll be leaving this meeting early. Anyway, I appreciate your patience with me. So I was late getting here to the agenda session, and again, we'll be leaving early tonight. All right, I understand we have a special presentation. Chief Reed.
Mayor and Council, since I've been with the department, there's never been really a formal awards set up. So those awards have come sporadically. But in this particular occasion, I felt like it needed to be acknowledged. Officers at the East Ridge Police Department work on every minute of each day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They live sometimes on the edge of life and death by the decisions they make in those split seconds. A hesitation can be costly for them or someone else. It is a world filled with an intense level of stress. The officers of the East Ridge Police Department reflect a high level of professionalism and integrity. They do a great work daily. And as the chief, I'm very proud of each one of them. I'm humbled by their service they provide. Unfortunately, we don't get to recognize everybody for the work that they do, or we would be constantly having award ceremonies. But tonight I want to recognize 2 of the officers for their action earlier this month. The citation is On June 3rd, 2017, officers from the Delta Team Shift received a call to an address in Franklin Place concerning an overdose. Officers Tim Allison and Corey Hinch located a gentleman about 50 years of age, unresponsive, no pulse, and in respiratory arrest, lying in a bathroom floor. Officer Allison and Officer Hinch went into immediate action by moving the patient into the hallway and starting CPR. As the medical personnel arrived on the scene, they started to assist the patient, which took a breath on his own. He quickly started to recover. The patient was blue and in full arrest at that time. If it not for the quick action by Officer Allison and Officer Hinch, the outcome for this gentleman could have been quite different. These officers needed to be recognized for their life-saving service. And we have 2 claims for them. Mayor, would you like to come down?
You'd like to? We are very blessed as a city, as a community, to have the kind of public safety department that we have, the fire, police, everyone who stands in the gap to keep so many of our citizens here from tragic circumstances, and this certainly would have been one of those. And as I told the officers that, and we certainly appreciate them, but I'm not sure there is a way for the family to express truly what those actions did for them, what those actions mean for them. It could have been, as you said, Chief, very, very different outcome. So we're very grateful. All right. We will now consider the consent agenda. I trust everyone has had opportunity to review the minutes, the June 8th agenda work session, as well as the June 8th regular council meeting. The May 2017 financial report is included as well. Do we have a motion in regard to these items in the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda, and I have a question about the financials.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second? Yes, sir. Your question.
I am over here in the amended section, and I noticed that our total general fund budget amended comes to $13,185,000, and our total budget amended expenditures come to $13,880,000. I was just wondering, since we're amending it, why didn't we amend it to be the revenue and the expenditure to be the same?
Because they're not.
Oh, I
We
understand.
made
made the city council made a couple of expenditures in regard to the projects that we're doing and funding through the
The
Board of
fire
Regional
stuff,
Development.
the additional,
additional fire station at $500,000.
856,000.
One of them was that, the 260,000 that we did for commissioned ASA to go forth with the beautification plans, that was not budgeted. So it's 400 and some thousand plus the 280, plus what was the other one?
the equipment that was bought for street department.
Right, we
Y'all
decided,
recommended, spending fund balance, not finance.
right. So those three were
So that's
expended out.
why,
We will be receiving the dollars back eventually on the Board of Region. For both of well, not the fire station, we will not, but for the 200 and some thousand dollars that we spent or we were spending for the beautification, and as well as any monies that we expended on the Camp Jordan Parkway, $724,000 contract that we let. Those revenues will come in.
You know, one of the things that I have kept an eye on throughout this fiscal year is the comparison of this year's local option sales tax with what we brought in last year at this time. And it's about $389,000 difference to the good this year. So again, that's something I've been tracking along the way throughout the fiscal year. So that's a very, very nice piece of news to see that continue. And we are actually tracking a little bit ahead of where technically we should be in terms of what we budgeted. So,
well, I can tell you that we have received on June the 10th, we got May, and that puts us at 101% in local option.
With 1 month to go.
With
1
1
month
month
to
to
go.
fantastic. So, all these retail places need to keep those cash registers singing. Good news for all of us. All right, do we have any other comments or questions? We got the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell. Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, at this time, we will entertain communication from citizens. We do have a couple who have signed in. At this time, if you are a resident or business owner here in the city of East Ridge and you have a comment, question, or concern you'd like to bring to the council, this would be your opportunity to do so. You'll come to one of the microphones here at the front, state your name and address for the record. You will have 5 minutes. And the first person we had sign in was Laura Mathis, 2100 McBrien Road.
Hi, I'm Laura Mathis at 2100 McBrien Road. I need to apologize to the sanitation committee. A lot of you know where I live because I say it every 2 weeks, but there was a pile of old furniture and junk in front of my house that y'all had to pick up. And I just want to let you know it wasn't my junk, because if I have junk, I take it to the dump. My apartment lady downstairs is the one that made that huge mess, so I apologize for the eyesore. I want to thank the animal services. Last week, I had a baby robin that got pushed out of the nest probably about a week too soon. And I called the vets and I made some other calls, but nobody wanted to help me. So I finally called Officer Dillard, and she referred me to a group called Happy Nests. And they do bird rescues, and I got their address and took the robin, and Robin's gonna live, and he'll be released as soon as he's big enough. So I wanted to thank Andrew for hooking me up on that.
Great news.
Also want to thank the council for pursuing the Carter matter and having the meeting in 2 weeks. I appreciate y'all being diligent on this matter, and I can't wait for the meeting. Has the Housing Authority had its first meeting?
They have not. They are, I believe, trying to organize an organizational meeting for next Friday, a week from tomorrow. I don't know if they have been able to get all 5 to commit, have they?
I've not.
So, we will try to get that information. I know they were kind of starting to call each other. Earl, have you heard?
Yeah, we meet with you and Attorney Litchford next Friday at noon.
Okay.
That's
So
okay.
has everyone confirmed that that works for them? Do you know?
I don't know, I just heard from Darwin and he set that date up and said we would meet them and go
Okay.
over our first foundational meeting and get started.
I'll reach out to him, and if everyone has confirmed that we will release that information, and certainly it's a public meeting, so everyone will be invited to attend.
Thank you. And the discussion about the properties and the grass maintenance, would that be something that could be funded through the Housing Authority? To pay those contractors? No?
No.
Okay, I was just curious if that was something that they would be responsible for. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next person who had signed in is Angela Burgess, 3636 Phelps Street.
Hello, my name is Angela Burgess, 3636 Gulf Street, and I came tonight because I'm concerned about the fireworks issue in East Ridge, an ordinance that we're not supposed to be any. I've lived here for 30 years, and each year it seems to get worse, because normally if someone makes a phone call about someone, they just go and say, hey, can you calm it down? They don't cite anyone or anything. And so like I said, in the years, it's been getting worse and worse. And last year, it was like cannons going off on the street over from the old Frederick. It was louder than Lake Winnie's. And when I called in, an officer did come by the house as we were standing there discussing it. It was still going off, and he drove to Frederick and said something, I don't know what. And as I could see his taillights driving off, they just started back up. And my dogs are concerned. This year I'm going to have to sedate them, I suppose, because other things don't work. And then my husband is post-traumatic stress, and I'm not sure he's not the only one in this city that is, and I'm sure I'm not the only dog owner that has problems with fireworks and their dogs. But I did call the police department on Tuesday and spoke with Assistant Chief, and also tonight Chief Allen did say that he put out a memo to let them know that if they get, I guess, multiple calls or more than one call with the same address, that they are to issue a fine. So,
First a warning, first a warning. If we go back again, they get cited and we confiscate all the fireworks from them.
so is that?
And the police chief and I talked about that today.
Oh, okay, so that's something.
Because unfortunately, I've had that problem in every city I've been in.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Well, it's just, if there's nothing, if they're not punished or whatever, then it's like, oh, they'll just say something and go on and it's okay. So in turn, of course, it gets worse and worse every year because nothing's done. And of course, then we sell it in our city too, so what do you do?
Well, we can't stop the sales of
No, I realize
fireworks
that.
in the state of Tennessee.
Right.
That's the problem we have.
Yes, and I understand that, but it's just, I'm just like, good grief. I've got to where I cannot even enjoy the 4th of July. And I've been trying to figure out where I can go and take my dogs this year so they don't have to hear it. And I'm just like, I have to leave my home, that's insane. So, and my husband already does, because, just because traumatic issue. But anyway, so that was all I wanted to say, and I appreciate y'all discussing it already, and so I hope it works.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here and for sharing your concern. Would it be possible to put that information maybe on the website, that
Yes.
if
We plan it.
if someone sees or
Planning on
hears,
doing a press release and getting it on the website.
if they're, that they need
Gonna be-
to report it if it's a nuisance? But people,
Absolutely,
yeah, right.
absolutely. Noise and aerial displays, absolutely.
This year, the fourth is on Tuesday,
Yes,
so it's gonna start Friday.
I know, I can remember the last time it was on a Tuesday, I listened to it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, by the time Wednesday came, the dog had to be sedated, and me.
All right. Do we have anyone else with a comment, question, or concern? Anyone who didn't have the opportunity to sign in? Yes, sir.
Greg Shipley, 6116 Nottingham Drive. Just want to let everybody know about the Optimus Car Show down at Camp Jordan this weekend. We've got a couple of council members in the audience that the registration's at 8:30 for your cars. 9 o'clock, it starts till 1 o'clock, and so it's not gonna be that long. Come out, be door prizes, 50-50 giveaways. So we're drawing for 50-50. And come out and have fun and join some I think it's first 100 or something, get goodie bags or something. And be happy to see everybody there.
Yes, that's free. Yes, unless you want to buy a car.
No, money already shows that for the children, we have different events in the year, like at the end of the year, we have a Orange Grove benefit for Christmas, and somebody dresses up like Santa Claus. And, but it's, for events like that, it helped put on the fishing rodeo, and I think there might be another fishing rodeo this year, we just don't know about it yet. It all goes for the children.
Get a raffle in his car.
They were not going in the pond.
We hope not.
This year, I think somebody else, I'll call the person's name, but somebody hit you this year, went off and over with a Jeep.
Wasn't me.
I wouldn't be closer. Some guy left on property in the back.
Well, thank you for that information. And if anyone has opportunity to get out to that event, certainly we would encourage you to do so. Do we have anyone else? See none. So we will move to communication from council members. And Mr. Kate, do you have anything for us?
Yes, sir, I have three little items here. I understand we have Captain Bowman that's retiring as of next Friday.
Yes, sir.
And I just like to say thank you to Tim for all his number of years he's had here. And there's a reception, 2 o'clock, in here or in here. So everybody's welcome.
What day's that?
Next Saturday, next Friday. Okay. And also, I would like to, like Mr. Miller and the staff, had the job of hiring head librarian. And I would like to thank y'all for hiring with him. These people, they're already here, they don't have to learn you, they don't have to learn us, so they already know the situation. And head librarian now is Miss Weaver, Patty Weaver, so congratulations to her. And also, I'd like to thank Mike Haley for his quick response Sunday for fixing the traffic lights at Flamingo Road where we had a tree down. Power was out, the power board was there with the fixing the power for the houses, so I'd just like to say thank you to Mike for that.
Definitely mentioned some good items there. How long has Captain Molinax been here with the city?
25 years, 27.
27 and a half. Nice career. Absolutely. All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Sewell. Don't have anything at this point. Okay. Mr. Williams.
We'd also like to thank Officer Allison and Hughes for the service that they provided to save his life, and Captain Molinax for his long service with the city, and all the first responders for what they do for our city.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ms. Helen.
I concur, they said very well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, there, Mr. Cagle mentioning Mike Ailey and the traffic signals, that reminded me, I think I've heard there's been a little bit of commentary about the new traffic light that was installed down near Life Care. And just so everyone knows, the city of East Ridge did not put that light up. That was something that TDOT took care of. Actually, Forest President took care of it. He paid for it to be installed. They went through all of TDOT's process for doing the study that said, okay, yeah, we could use one here, et cetera, et cetera. So it's it cleared all the hurdles through TDOT, and so that's why it's there. The city of East Ridge didn't just decide, hey, let's throw up a traffic signal over here. So had heard that there had been some Facebook commentary about that. Didn't see it, but I heard it. Yeah.
I saw a few good ones too.
That's good. That's good. So that's really all that I have. Mr. Miller, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do have a couple.
Okay.
First off, several council meetings ago, we initiated debt, the amount of $750,000 through a capital outlay note with the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund for the purpose of the Streetscape Project, Series 2017. One of the requirements by law is to make a report on the debt obligation. So I'm going to read briefly, summarize this thing. City of East Ridge, debt issue name is the Streetscape Project, capital outlay note Series 2017, in the amount of $750,000, interest at 2.76%. And that's all I have to do by meeting the intent of the law, so that takes care of that one issue. Director of Marketing and Legal Coordinator for Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund mentioned that has to be done after we have closed on it. So if the city clerk or recorder will check that off and send a copy of those minutes to me that I have done that, I'll appreciate that. The second item I have is in regard to Halloran Corporation. They were awarded a bid in October of 2014. The amount of $139,937 for the HVAC system installation at Camp Jordan Arena. They have not completed that job as of today. I sent them a letter back on November 15th, encouraged them to complete the project, pay back the city the overage of $5,939.37. I got no response. Well, I'm sorry, they did. They showed up, they started to do a little bit of work, and then they left the job. The city attorney sent them a letter on March 7, 2017 regarding the same subject. Basically told them that if they did not complete the job and pay the city the overage, that we would initiate legal action against them. Nothing has occurred since March. This is now June. I sent them a certified letter, got the green card receipt back, basically telling them that I want them to get out there and complete the project and pay the city the overage of $5,939.37 by close of business on on June 22nd, 2017, which is today. I didn't even get a phone call or anything from him on this. So I'm asking the city at this time for authorization to direct the city attorney to initiate a legal action against them. And let's get this project completed and get the overage of $5,939.37. Yes, sir.
Say the job's not complete,
No, sir.
they may not ever come back and complete it, so we're gonna have to rebid this to get it completed.
Correct.
So then are we gonna be able to collect the difference from that overage versus 214 expense to today's cost?
I would defer that, I know what I would answer, but I would defer that to the city attorney.
I would look, the short answer is yes. If there's any overage from what we originally thought the contract price was going to be, we would seek to collect the difference between those two.
But I think right now, along with that same motion to authorization to direct the attorney, maybe filing the action in court, putting him on notice that legal action has been, maybe that'll stimulate him enough to get it done. At the same time, I'd like to go out there and get the bids to complete this so that we can get this taken care of and we have a final cost.
How long notice did you give them that
This letter here,
today's the end of it?
June 13th to June 22nd. However, the letter I got in front of me too goes back to November 15th of 2016. That was the first letter I sent to him. Same thing I said there, basically.
We have
And then I,
no
the city attorney said
obligations to
that.
them, we can go ahead and proceed with the bid and get it done.
Do the same thing, yes. Yes. That's what I'm asking. Yes, sir.
Approximately how much of the work had been performed before they?
Probably, I'm guessing 80 to 85%. Maybe.
What else has to be complete? What does it look?
There's still some work with the communication part of the system. We had two different bids. We had the HVAC units and the monitoring system. We also received a letter from Simmons, which is the monitoring system. The stuff was ordered over 2 years ago and it still has not been paid for. So we are verifying that we have all those components, and right now that bill is $13,500, so that would also be added to this as well. So right now we're in the process of verifying that we have the equipment that Simmons says that they gave us, also verifying if there's any additional equipment that may be needed that was not ordered in the original order. So that too will be added to what we're requesting.
That all included, yes.
But back when this first came up about us putting out bid for our own air conditioning units and bringing them in, well, didn't we contract somebody then to set them in?
Yes, that's what this is. The
Howard
original,
was the one that was the bid.
Okay, well, how about the original bidder? We paid him up front.
that's him.
Or it's the same as.
It was
So
two
we
different-
contracted him.
Well, it's two different bids. There was the HVAC unit and the monitoring system, both of which he received. Previous administration went ahead and paid him well over 70% of the actual contract without getting a contract signed. So that was part of this whole snowball that has basically affected. So he was overpaid at the beginning. Council had to authorize the city in order to pay for the actual units, which Mr. Halloran did not do. So that's why the overage of almost $6,000. And now we're finding out that he didn't pay the Simmons Corporation for the $13,500 in equipment that they had in their warehouse over 2 years ago. And it didn't finally reach us until I think either at the beginning of this year or maybe 2 or 3 months ago. But that's still not totally completed either. This grant is supposed to have been completed, started in 2014, it should have been completed in 2015.
What I'm hearing now is roughly $20,000.
That's correct.
Plus what the overage might be
If
to finish.
To finish the
Exactly.
job.
Correct.
Exactly.
And we have had some other companies come out and give us a quote, and I believe that was around $13,000. It was well over $10,000 threshold, so it would have to be bid out again.
It has to be bid out. We've got to put something together to get it bid out. Unfortunately, we did not requesting bid bond on this.
And that was probably due to the fact that it was below 150,000, which Halloran Corporation, their limit was $150,000.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not best to go the lowest bidder as we're.
If they can't bond it, they shouldn't be given awards, they shouldn't be awarded the bid. That's the bottom line. Somebody ends up getting the short end, and we got the short end on this.
Was the equipment ordered by
And the equipment was
ordered by
ordered,
us, or was it ordered by?
no, it was ordered by Halloran, he ordered it, and then once it got to the point where, and he admitted this to us last year, that he had used that $85,000 on another job, which is highly unethical. So we had to contract with Train, because he wanted to do a signature check, sign for it, and we declined, and we went ahead and paid for it out of our funds to get those units. So we paid for them, that's why the 85,000 plus, I think it was over 60,000 for the units came over bid, and that's why the overage of almost $6,000.
And you got 13,500 in Siemens equipment.
Exactly, that
They did
too,
not pay.
and he did not pay that either.
Will a new bidder even be willing to use this equipment?
Yes.
It's already installed with the
Installed,
exception
already
of a
installed.
couple of components.
Okay.
We're just verifying that we have that equipment. They are gonna send a itemized invoice, and a representative from Nashville, from Simmons, is gonna come down and work with Bill Owens, and make sure that that's all there. And then I have a letter for him to sign stating that it's all there. If there's any additional equipment that needs to be added, he will add that on there as well.
All right.
Okay.
Well, is there a motion to proceed with what has been recommended by the city manager?
Make a motion to proceed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to initiate legal action against Halloran Corporation. Are there any other questions? Comments? Roll call, please. It probably
Sorry?
should.
The motion,
You want to go ahead and bid it out again?
yes, that would include bid out, it would include the 20,000, and also to initiate legal action.
Can we bid out with our continuation of our budget? Are we planning on spending that out of this year's budget or out of next year's budget?
You know, I think it's gonna have to come out of next year's budget. Because it's not appropriate, it actually comes out of a capital, which was gonna have to be, out of the fund balance, if it was out of fund balance. It's not in this year's budget.
With us continuing our budget, we don't have the right action to buy anything else new that wasn't already in the budget.
I would say that we would have to pass a budget. By the time we get this bid and awarded and so forth, we will have a budget on board. But I can't do it under a continuation budget, no. If that's what your question is,
That's
no.
what it has to
I would
be
say,
next year's budget.
I would say, no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't wanna have to face, I don't wanna answer that question that the auditors will ask me, and or Diane.
So we could potentially have it lined up.
Yeah, we can have it potentially lined up, but not to, once you award it, it goes in as a transaction.
Okay, so the motion, Mr. Sewell, correct me if I'm wrong, would be to initiate legal action. And of course, seek the $20,000, approximate $20,000 figure that would be the overage.
Plus the more, because we got a bid, when we bid it out.
The difference,
Okay, that-
right, the difference between whatever it takes to complete the job
Right.
and what we had originally received as a price. And then also to proceed with bidding this out.
Correct.
So care of all the different elements that we would need to have. So, does that sound right? Okay. Ms. Helm, I think you seconded, does that sound okay? All right.
Any recourse for the cost? Any recourse?
Yes.
Cost, okay,
That in there? Okay.
we have a paper trail on all this, like return receipts.
Does, just gonna ask, does that need to be part of the motion? I mean, if it does, we can certainly add it, put it in there. Okay. Certainly. If we could have the roll call, please. And this, I hate to restate it, but just for clarity, to the degree I can restate it, that we would initiate legal action against Halloran Corporation, seeking the approximate $20,000 difference that exists now, which is the $6,000 overage plus the $13,000 some odd dollars in equipment that wasn't paid for, as well as whatever the difference ends up being between what it takes to complete the job minus what we had originally thought it was going to take to complete the job. And then also to add in legal expense and to bid out the work to get it finished. All right. Yes, exactly. If we could have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Do you have anything else for us?
I'm done.
Thank goodness.
I'm gonna speak for 1 year and then one night I take that back.
All right, as I mentioned earlier, I will be leaving early this evening, and so with that in mind, I would like to move up 2 items for a couple of reasons. One, I would like to be able to vote on those items, but number 2, we also have some folks who are here specifically for one of those items. And so if we could move forward items D and E of new business, which would be, item D is resolution 2668. And then item E is to discuss and or take action on employee health insurance.
Mayor.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
We did have a resolution in one of those.
Yes, yes, okay. Yes, here it is. It's a matter of finding the right one. Okay, so that's resolution 2669, potentially, for the health insurance issue. Also, I do want to mention at this time that there is a change order for the streetscape project on Camp Parkway, which would be, or yes, it will be item F under new business. So, that being said, council is okay with considering items D and E, we would appreciate it, and we can take a look at those items. Okay. Item D is, again, resolution 2668.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Richardson, Tennessee, renewing the city manager's contract until June 30, 2018.
the last 30 days has gone by very quickly as well. We did renew or extend the city manager's contract for an additional 30 days to make sure that we could all be here to vote on the potential extension of that contract until June 30th of 2018. And we have talked in these meetings, these council meetings, to some degree about any changes we would like to make. Mr. Miller stated he didn't really want a salary increase, but there were a few items that he would like to have, and those are in the memorandum that would be in the packet. He requests, just for public knowledge, he requests no salary increase. However, he would like to request an increase in contribution to his retirement fund, which is 5% of the base salary to ICMA-RC to 8% of the base salary. And number two, an additional week of vacation. He has currently 80 hours non-accumulated. Would like that to go to 120 hours non-accumulated. So, and just for information purposes, the city contributes 10% of our standard employees' salaries to the safe retirement system. So Mr. Miller came here with 5% being essentially being contributed to his retirement. He's asking for 8%, which is still less than what we would provide for other employees, full-time employees. Again, this would be an extension of 1 year. So this would go from July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018.
Move to approve the resolution. Extend the contract.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Council, are there any questions, comments?
I'd like to make one comment.
Yes, sir.
I was, one opposed against hiring the gentleman, but folks, I have learned to work with him, and he has become an asset and proved me wrong, so.
We appreciate that, and certainly I appreciate the fact that a couple of things. One, he has a wealth of experience, but number two, he'll also tell you what he thinks.
Could be good and bad sometimes.
You know, it's good to have straight shots sometimes, you know, and so I appreciate that very much.
Be straight shot me a few times. The driveway, we talked. I did inherit him as a neighbor too, but that's in my favor. I don't know about him.
I ain't never been in his pool yet. It's the middle of June.
I'm never home. Go ahead. I will concur with that. I think he's an asset. I didn't get a chance to vote the first time, but I am the second time. I think he's a great asset to our city.
Indeed. All right. If there's nothing else, we will move to roll call, please.
Councilmember Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Mayor, if I would, I'd just like to make a comment. I appreciate the confidence the council has in me. I enjoyed my first year, as I mentioned in my city manager contract extension memorandum, that I feel that all of us together are functioning as a productive team. I'd like to continue that same relationship the next year and get some of these projects done that we need to embark upon to make East Ridge a better place to live, work, and play. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, item E is going to be Resolution 2669. There is a caption for that on the addenda number 1.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city manager or his designee to enter into a contract with Blank for health insurance coverage for employees of the City of East Ridge.
Okay. We put a lot of information before you tonight. We have been with Blue Cross Blue Shield over the past year. Unfortunately, due to our poor experience, the premiums they paid was substantially higher, hundreds of thousands of dollars more than the premiums brought them in. So I guess they took an attitude that we want to get back that loss in a year. So they proposed an increase of approximately 38% premiums. And in the next breath said, we're going to lower that. We want to see what the other competitors are proposing to put on the table. That's really not how you negotiate. So our broker, John Davis, did some homework on this. So there's several firms that we'd like to take a look at. One would be Cigna, and the other one would be United Healthcare. And you have a spreadsheet in front of you. It's multicolored. Which basically shows at the top our current, and then down towards the bottom, Cigna. United Healthcare was in it for a while, however, we kind of dropped them by the wayside because they could not provide the low premiums and the service that we felt we could get with Cigna. John felt we could make with Cigna. I do want to direct your attention to Trish Perry's email. Trish, you come forward and I'll go over it and correct me if I'm wrong. So we have a couple of attachments here. First off, I want you to understand that there's two parts of our insurance, medical insurance. One is the premiums that the city pays, the H1, and the other one is the HRA, which basically takes care of those costs that are above that deductible. $12,000 for family and $6,000 for individual. This past year, our HRA toppled $450,000. So that has to be added in as a cost of insurance, medical insurance. Years ago, when we were into the co-pays, we were into the deductibles, that cost was lower than $200,000. When we went to this plan several years ago, the HRA has gone up. So when you look at the first, I'm looking at the first here, email communication. Our current plan has premiums, total premiums that we have right now. Includes the premiums, the HRA, and this year we did just about get to the 450,000 HRA.
We're gonna be right at it.
Right at it. And then the administrative fee is a total of $1,984,179. So keep that figure back in mind. If we renewed the plan, Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, with the same provisions, we're looking at going from $1.984 million to $2.564 million. That's a hefty increase. So we directed our attention to Cigna and United Healthcare. If we go go to the city plan that matches the current Blue Cross Blue Shield plan that we have, our total will go up to $2,134,886. We looked at the possibility of lowering that a little further by looking at the implementation of what was co-pays and what was deductible. We first looked at a $25 for copay for primary and $50 for specialist with a $1,000 deductible. That one, and then no HRA. No HRA. We can drop that cost to $1,920,150. I said, well, $1,000 deductible, let's go get a $500 deductible. That increases it up a little bit, about $70,000 more. That was a plan that we were looking at pretty heavily, that we were kind of excited about until just sat back and did what kind of premium increases are we going to impose on the employee? And do you want to review over that with us, Trish?
Sure.
That's will be,
Yes.
she did all the analysis on this. It's going to be the long sheet that you have with the figures on it. So Trish, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
So council, you see there's only 2 plans on there because with the Blue Cross, what they proposed a 38% increase, that's going to make a substantial increase for the employees out of their payroll deduction. Anyone who had a family plan would go up about an additional $30 per pay period, making it way more $100. For individual, around $22, and for employee plus one, maybe around $30. We just felt like that would be way too costly for them. So the win-win situation, if you look at the recommended plan, the Cigna, that is the matching plan, all the benefits will stay the same. There's still that viable option. Some people would rather have the $4,000 deductible where they only pay $400 out of their pocket, $800 for family, and then 10%, and the city picks up the HRA. They have to pay extra for that to buy it for that. That's the difference in your deductions right here. You'll also notice too, if you're in comparison, how you look at some of the plans over here on Blue Cross where it says Network S and P. They had 2 different networks for Blue Cross because one of them excluded Park Ridge facilities. So that would be a lower plan. Cigna has the 2 options of $4,000 or $6,000, but they don't have one network. So that deduction right there is kind of in between others. Some, when you look at maybe your Network P, employee only, $1,764 deduction. Your Network S, employee only, under $6,000 is $1,548. On the Cigna plan, it would be strictly $1,846 for everyone. So if you look at that on the right-hand side, under Cigna, and you look at the proposed premium of $1.6 million, you add in the HRA, we're just suspecting will be $450,000, and the $7,200 for administrative fee. But if you deduct what the employee has in it for their deductions, the actual total cost of the city is 1.9. So you can see over here on the Blue Cross side, it's 1.7. Now, with all that being said, just information from our broker, if you take out this colored sheet right here, this pie colored sheet right here, if you look at the Cigna comparison in the white, all the way over on the right-hand side, that gray area says 9.87%, they've just come down 2%. So all this calculation that I did is going to be lower for the city and the employee if we go with Cigna. All the others, just once we saw that Blue Cross was 38%, doing the calculations on all the others, it's still going to come out that same high. That's why we just will show you the comparison of the 2 plans. I wanted you to see what the employee is paying now and what they would pay with Cigna. And with this plan, they already know it. There's no, it'd be the same thing, there's no co-pays. It's you just pay your 10% if you do the $400 deductible, or you pay the 20%.
So totally, when you're looking at the budget, mentioned we have 15% increase put in budget for fiscal year 17 and 18. You total up all the medical costs that we have in there, including the HRA, we have budgeted $2,150,000. However, from that, we have to add 15,006 for vision, 80,460 for dental, and for long-term disability, 24,000, for a total of $120,000 added to the $1,921,440. You add those two together, they're still under the amount we have budgeted in the budget in 2017 and 18. So we don't have to toy around or amend that figure at all. We have enough dollars appropriated in the budget for next year. You want to say something about the dental and vision?
The dental is going up 3% with Blue Cross. That is affordable for us, and the vision will stay the same. So we would have our medical with Cigna, but we would have Blue Cross with the dental and the vision. They have life with another policy.
Right.
Does Cigna not provide?
They do, but we've got a good policy right now. Is it still cheaper? They were not competitive on that. We just had to split it up this year.
Do we have it,
So your recommendation is?
Our recommendation is to go with Cigna, as noted here, and that would be the same plan as Blue Cross. Matches our current Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, yes. I just can't see, even though going with the other Cigna plan, we get rid of the HRA, it does impose that substantial increase on the employees, and medical is just not something right now we want to play with. There's an awful lot of uncertainty out there in the insurance world, especially for medical expenses. We don't know what's going to come out of Washington and how any of that is going to affect the health purveyors in the states. One state is saying.
And since we just found out that it may be close to an 8% increase instead of 10.
Right.
I make a motion that we take the recommended plan, Cigna plan, that matches the current Blue Cross.
Drug coverage,
Yes, sir.
Blue Cross plan, we've got 10, 35, 50, $100 specialty.
Yes.
On the Cigna plan down here, 10, 35, 50, so we're not having $100 specialty.
They're almost 50, they'll just top back to 50. Especially if it will go.
Specialty drugs not even.
It will go to 50, correct? It's the same. They just didn't list that on there. It's still on there. There's, it wasn't there.
Specialty is still on there.
Yes.
However,
yes,
I have a question for the city attorney.
yes.
I'm gonna be buying in the plan. Should I stay of a? And I feel like I should.
If you feel that you should, you certainly can.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't know that it necessarily would be a conflict because you're not receiving a benefit other than one that you're paying for that the other.
You are
employees
not
would.
receiving this for nothing. You are paying for it.
Just wanna make sure.
But that decision will be left up to you.
Life insurance included in this, or is it separate?
That's separate. Yeah, the only two that would be continued under the Blue Cross Blue Shield would be the dental and vision.
So we do have a motion for Mr. Sewell. Do we have a second?
I'll say it's a motion.
Okay, we have a second.
employees that are on a plan is, they're on the 612,
Correct.
525.
Right.
Compared to 30, or compared to 8.
Right.
Yeah. So the largest impact to our employees would be approximately about 33 employees. That would be the employee plus one in the family,
Yes.
going up $10 on 7 and 14 on 26.
And last year it came down about that.
Now that, even though you said this could come down
It would have been
a
something.
couple percent, and you hate to do that, but
Because the others were gonna go up $20 and $30.
But it appears the others are only just a few dollars increase.
And that was because of the two plans they had, the two networks they have with Blue Cross. It was 2 networks and 4 plans.
Right.
And that's why it makes a difference like that. And some came out as good.
So then all the providers would be covered under the single,
All
the
same.
single plan.
Oh,
That both.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Are there any other questions, comments?
Don, do you have anything you want to say?
Nothing other than I could say we do a lot of
I know you travel all this time, you work with, she's the number cruncher out of John Davis's office. So watching her sit there all night, she may have something she may want to say.
I did, actually, before we walked in the door, call signals that you have. John will tell you, and we're all the same way, we're agnostic when it comes to the carriers. We work with them all.
I'm sorry, could you slide over just a little?
I'm sorry. We work with all the insurance carriers from time to time. You all have been with Cigna in the past, 5 or 6 years ago, I believe you were. We're also with United Healthcare and with Blue Cross for the last 5 years. Cigna, of all of the carriers that we marketed with time, and we also went to self-funded carriers this year. We went to about 7 different carriers. And Cigna was the most willing to work with us, to reduce the rates, to work within your budget. From my side of the fence, from a service perspective, Cigna far outweighs Blue Cross and United Healthcare, in the service that they provide to us and to the employees. I don't think that there will be any issues with the employees and the providers, the hospitals, all the providers are in Cigna's network. So I don't think that you will have an issue at all. I don't think the employees will either. If I had a choice between Blue Cross and a 38% increase and Cigna and an 8% increase, I'm going to go with Cigna for the same level of care. So, questions you all have of me?
No limit on doctors.
No limit on doctors, no. And co-pays, the prescription co-pays will count towards the out-of-pocket, so people will meet the deductible also is included in the out-of-pocket. So the out-of-pocket could conceivably be met before the deductible. If somebody's taking high prescriptions costs, it's conceivable that they could. In the past, before the Affordable Care Act, co-pays went nowhere. They applied to nothing. With the Affordable Care Act, they now apply to the members out of pocket. So that's a plus as well.
Or really carryover for the last 3 months toward the deductible out of pocket.
Now, fourth quarter carryover. That went away with the Affordable Care Act.
If there are no other comments or questions, ask for roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies.
to old business. Ordinance number 1038 on second and final reading.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, adopting the fiscal year 2016-2017 annual budget as a continuation budget for fiscal year 2017-2018 until such time as a finalized annual budget for 2017-2018 is adopted.
Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 1038?
Motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Are there any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton? Yes. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item is approved. Item B, ordinance 1039.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend ordinance number 1013 entitled an ordinance to provide revenue for the City of East Ridge, Tennessee for the fiscal year July 1, 2016 to July 30, 2017, appropriating the same for the payment of expenses of the municipal government by designating a portion of fund balance for the general fund and by changing the revenues of the drug fund and by changing the expenditures of the general fund and drug fund.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton? Yes. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item is approved. Sorry, I'm considering my time. I'm debating that, as to how quickly we can move. I don't want to rush anything, but at the same time, I feel like we could probably go, probably could go pretty quickly. We will try. We will forge ahead. All right, item C, ordinance number 1040.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, amending ordinance number 9947, adoption of the International Building Code, Title 12, Chapter 1, Section 12-106, titled Amendments to Code, adopted.
Second final reading, do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item is approved. Item D, ordinance 1041.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, amending ordinance number 948, adoption of the International Fire Code and Life Safety Code, Title 7, Chapter 2, Section 7-209, titled Amendments to Code Adopted, and 7-206, titled Variances.
Do we have a motion?
Motion approved, 1041.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 1041. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item is approved. Item E, ordinance number 1042.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, amending ordinance number 949, adoption of the International Fuel Gas Code, Title 12, Chapter 3, Section 12-301, titled Code Adopted.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. That item is approved. Item F, ordinance 1043.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, amending ordinance number 950, adoption of the National Electric Code, Title 12, Chapter 3, Section 12-301, titled Code adopted by adding Section 12-301B, fee schedule.
Do we have a motion in regard to ordinance 1043?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Okay, are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sewell?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item is approved. Item G, ordinance 1044.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, amending ordinance number 951, adoption of the International Plumbing Code, Title 12, Chapter 2, Section 106.6.2, titled Fee Schedule.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sewell?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item H, ordinance number 1045.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, amending ordinance number 952, adoption of the International Mechanical Code, Title 12, Chapter 8, Section 106.5.2, titled Fee Schedule.
Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
A motion for Mr. Sewell, second for Ms. Hilton. Are there any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sewell?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. This item is approved. Item I, ordinance number 1046.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, regulating the operation of recreational motorized vehicles within the city limits of East Ridge, Tennessee.
I know there's been a
Yes.
slight tweak. Yes, sir.
You know what?
Yes, absolutely.
I'd like to move to amend this for second reading on section C to put in verbiage for retail and dealer product demonstrations, to exclude that, and any retail sales or dealer vehicle maintenance.
Right. Sorry, I should have got this a moment ago.
Okay.
We do need a motion and a second first on the ordinance and then a move to amend.
That's a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve ordinance 1046. Now, I believe there's a motion to amend.
Yes.
Yes.
To amend section C of the ordinance on the exclusion section concerning retail and dealer product demonstrations for other use required to facilitate sales, retail sales, and dealer maintenance vehicles.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this also, relate golf carts, motorized golf carts? Somebody wants to buy golf carts.
Yes. That would include that.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend.
Second.
We have a second to amend. Sorry. Yes. Would you mind repeating the amendment or the proposed amendment?
I'd like to move to amend section C for in the exclusion, for it to actually state, also excluded from this ordinance are off-road motorized vehicles used as utility vehicles for agricultural purposes, snow plow removal, lawn care. In the section of what verbiage you want added is retail, dealer product demonstrations, or other use required to facilitate retail sales or retail dealer vehicle maintenance. This protect any business that's actually doing their sales and or maintenance, on their commercial lot and facility.
So basically, it would allow demonstrations for sales purposes, retail sales, commercial sales.
That's correct.
Right.
Until we're real.
These businesses that engage in this are always usually in commercial zone properties, not residential.
Still, since our commercial residential are so close.
I understand that.
So we do have a motion and a second on the amendment. Do you have any other questions or comments on, again, the proposed amendment? Okay, if we could have a roll call on the proposed amendment.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. So there is a motion and a second already on the floor. It's now an amended ordinance 1046, but it still has a motion and a second to approve. Are there any comments or questions? We have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes, that item is approved. Moving to new business, ordinance number 1047. And I think,
I'm going to defer discussion on this to the city attorney, Mark Litchford.
This, we went to the TML conference last week and we learned about this. There's a new public chapter 467, which was signed by the governor this year and becomes effective in July 1st of this year. And it's a somewhat of a complicated amendment to the statute with regard to firearms and permits, but I think I called MTAS, talked to Melissa Ashburn up there, very knowledgeable about this matter. She indicated that what this law does, there's twofold. One, it provides people that are what they consider affected by the gun laws to have the ability to seek and file an action for declaratory judgment. It's pretty punitive if there's actual damages found, such that they've assessed triple attorney fee damages. This has been met with substantial, as you can imagine, fire from constituents from other big cities, Knoxville, Nashville. They've all spoken about it to their respective media outlets. The short of it is, with respect to certain buildings owned and operated by governmental entities, if an individual has a gun carry permit, a valid gun carry permit, they are permitted or otherwise cannot be prohibited from entering upon that property with that firearm unless you fall into certain exceptions. Under section, or under Public Chapter 467, there are a few exceptions, and I'll pull those up. For ones we'll go to are libraries, buildings that contain a law enforcement agency, property on which firearms are prohibited at all times, regardless of whether judicial proceedings are in progress. There's a statute. The way that the amendment is written, you've got to bounce around several statutes, so to try to make some sense of it. Right now, the General Assembly preempts the entire field of law with regard to the prohibitions against fire and regulation against firearms. But then it does allow for city and county towns to actually regulate to the extent that it's provided under the statute. Under the statute, it allows when certain posting of notices at meetings, for example, under section 3917, 1359, a state, federal government, when there's a meeting taking place, has the authority to outlaw the possession of weapons by any person. So in other words, it doesn't mean just any person that doesn't have a permit. Any person, including those that have a carrying permit. In fact, Section 2 says, this prohibition shall apply to any person who is authorized to carry a firearm. But the new law amends this statute now, and what it provides now is that to the extent that you don't fall into a certain exception, then the city is not allowed to prohibit a individual lawfully carrying a valid firearm permit from being in that or being on that property. To the extent that the city decides that they want to outlaw that, anyone with a gun, any guns, including those with gun permit, then the municipality has to take certain steps, and I will read those out by reading the bill. No, but no government entity is authorized to enforce or to prohibit the restriction of a possession of a handgun by a handgun carry permit holder on property owned or administered by the entity unless the following are provided at each public entrance to the property. There must be a metal detection device at the front at all public entrances. At least one law enforcement or private security officer who has been adequately trained to conduct inspections of such persons entering the property by use of a metal detection, and that each person who enters the property through the public entrance when the property is open to the public, any bag, package, or other container carried therein is inspected by law enforcement. In other words, it's got to be every person. You can't select just a few. So it's really what it's come boiled down to is municipalities have an option. They can either just say, well, let me back up. They have an option with regard to those properties that are not otherwise exempted, which I read to you, the libraries, judicial proceeding, buildings, law enforcement. To the extent you're not talking about those areas, then the city has an option. They either can outlaw all the guns, including gun permits, provided that you take those additional steps, or you otherwise have to allow it. And with regard to gun permit carriers, and to the extent that there is an individual, the ramifications of it are great, because now if the city were to take that effort to say, we'll take Camp Jordan, for example, no firearms at all of any nature, and that's not an exception as provided under the law. If someone is asked to take their firearm, put it into their car, in other words, they can't have it on the property, if they're impacted under the law, they would have the ability to seek a claim against the city for declaratory judgment that they've been violated and that they are entitled to damages, including triple payment of attorney fees to enforce that right. So it's been met with a lot of opposition, as you can probably understand. But one of the things when City Manager Miller and I spoke, we sort of assessed what is impacted by the city of East Ridge. This building is technically exempted out because it's a building that houses judicial proceedings. Computer is started, but regardless of whether or not those are taking place. And so it's not that it's only on Tuesday nights or Thursday nights. The building houses a facility that engages in judicial proceedings. This building could otherwise prohibit the possession of firearms of all individuals. The police station could, the library, which of course the library is in this building. If the Camp Jordan is conducting an activity that involves a school activity, you can outlaw all gun possession, not including those that are gun permits. To the extent that you're not falling under one of those exemptions that I read out to you, then the city needs to make a decision. Do they want to outlaw all guns? If they do, they've got to put up those respective devices, metal detector, have an officer at every entrance. Or alternatively, you've got to allow those carried with the lawful gun carry permit to be able to come on the premises with a firearm. So that I think City Manager Miller, I think, has issued a memo identifying the potential costs and expenses if the city were to take the measure of outlawing completely on all properties that are not otherwise exempt under the statute. Hopefully I clarified that to you. I may have been muddier, but let me know if you have questions on it. Let me say one more thing. We researched to see if the city has ever enacted any ordinance with regard to the restriction on firearms. I don't believe found an ordinance that has ever been adopted. When I told Melissa Ashford up at MTAS that we were not aware of one, she indicated that if no ordinance has ever been passed, you don't have to repeal an ordinance. Otherwise, if you just want to go by policy, it's not an ordinance, so it has to be taken a resolution by this body with regard to these new measures.
So you're saying, like in the park, we'd have to put an officer at each entrance, and everybody could come through in a car.
That means that this law is, as I understand it, deals with facilities. I think the parks was covered under a 2015 law, but
It was,
but basically, yes, we would have to look at every car coming in is gonna have to be checked. Every bag in the car is gonna have to be checked. Yes, if you want to go that route, absolutely, that's what we would have to do, we would put a sign up like that.
as well as an officer representation and a metal detector.
See, a lot of the reasoning behind a lot of this is a national wave that is occurring. We went through this Kansas 4 years ago, and it was just as nasty a fight with the big cities against the legislature, but the governor still signed it into law. And other states are doing the same thing. The gun lobbyists are really pushing this, and they're getting results. But when you put a sign up there on the front door, you are assuring people that walking in that this is a gun-free building. Bad guys don't read signs. They just walk in with a gun anyway. If somebody gets shot in the lobby, who's going to get sued? When we sat there and gave assurances to the public, this is a safe building. That's the reason that perpetuated this. Now, if you're going to put that sign up there, you better make sure that absolutely everybody, including the bad guys, are going to get caught trying to walk in with a gun
So you're gonna have to put a police officer,
at every
even though
entrance.
even this building is exempt, you still have to put somebody there to check, right?
This is where this is where I don't agree totally with Mark on it. I believe that this building is open, that it's not covered because we only have council meetings and court here twice a month, council once a week, evening hours, police. All other times, it's not held in the judicial process.
The library though is,
The library, yes, but there's, yeah, we would have to do something there, right?
About our housing, hearing board, our hearing officer sits here years.
the administrative hearing officer.
Right.
If that could probably include, I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're right, that. But see, it's, we're still trying to get a feel on this law, on how it actually is going to be enforced, and what totally do we mean in regard to, like, for City Hall. The city attorney said because we have court and because we have council meetings, this, we don't have to worry about it. I don't see it that way.
And a couple things, when we talked to MTAS, no case law has interpreted these laws.
Yeah.
And respectively, the laws, we're talking about 13, TCA 3917, 1359. And that's making it difficult on cities to really know exactly what to expect from a judge in connection with potential cases filed. But they couch the new amendments as being able to clarify the gun laws. I think it's probably muddying them a little bit more, but one thing is I understand that MTAS intends to publish, presumably in the next week or so, not necessarily an opinion, but at least a news flash that we're anticipating receiving that hopefully provides clarity to this issue. When I talked to MTAS the other day, I specifically addressed the East Ridge building, the City Hall, and advised her that we have a lot of activities in here from administrative hearing officers to the council meetings, to judicial, to the library, as well as offices for the city staff. At least what she said was that if you look at the exemption, it says property on which firearms are prohibited under a certain statute, which is for judicial proceedings. At all times, regardless of whether judicial proceedings are in progress. Again, no one's interpreted it, so it's the conservative approach is we just say it would only apply when there are judicial proceedings. So, and that's what City Manager Miller is saying.
I got my information in talking to the police chief of Knoxville at the TML, who happened to be the ex-president of the Tennessee Police Chiefs Association, and he knows this law left and right. And I sat down with the city manager, Casati Daisy, and reviewed over this with him, and that's his interpretation. So, like the city attorney said, it's not specifically defined yet. I know in Kansas, there were a lot of different interpretations the first year that law was adopted. And a lot of cities made that determination to the point where some of the legislators said, that's not what it meant. So the following year, they came back and they closed all the loopholes. And it wasn't to the advantage of the cities. It wasn't to the advantage of the cities. Basically, in Kansas, you could have a park worker, a worker in the Parks Department out there with a 6-shooter on the side of his belt, wide open, working during hours. We try to prohibit that, but I'm just saying that there's still a lot of interpretation areas here, which hopefully will be clarified by entities.
It does. This is a lot of interesting questions. I can see how there would be a lot of different potential interpretations.
Kind of passes, not until we.
Right now, I walked around, the community center has no language on the doors. The arena has no language on the doors. City Hall has no language on the front doors, which is the public access into this meeting. It does not have language on either of the doors going into the library. The only place where I see the language is the employee exit on the north side of the building and the entranceway to the court right out here. Those are the only doors that have that signage. So in essence, we haven't had that for years.
They used to have some going in the park.
Used to. I talked to Stump, who was taken off years ago. Just, you know, we
I
haven't
think
had.
that was.
I think the city's in compliance.
We're in compliance right now, basically.
I think the park signage was taken down when the state came back with their guns in the park.
2015, yes, that was in 2015, you're right. Yes. That was guns in the park. They interpreted it to go include the facilities too, because the facilities were in the park. You really didn't have to. Guns in the park was one. Guns and facilities is another.
So what do?
But this is all a large discussion of education as to the new law, but in essence, we can boil it down to, we think the city's in compliance. We don't think any action needs to be taken.
Okay.
Forget I put it on there. Been wasted a half hour.
So we kept it here a little longer, Mayor.
Well, no, it was good to get some of the information as far as what's exempted in a state statute, because we didn't talk about that before. So, I mean, this was a productive discussion, even though we aren't doing anything. It was good information to have.
These signs do need to be took down.
I would take the sign down, that's my interpretation, I would take the sign down going into the back end of City Hall, coming off where most of you come in during the week into my offices and so forth, that should be taken down. The two doors out here that come into the court, I'd leave that signage up. Because anybody coming in there on court day goes through the metal detector, is checked, all bags are checked by a full-time police officer. I'm a little scared about taking that signage off those doors. That's just my
Are those doors unlocked at any other point in time?
They're locked all the other times.
Oh,
They're only open during court day.
Court order?
Court day. Not even council meetings, only on, am I wrong? Are they open now?
All the doors are open every morning.
That's my concern.
All entrances are.
If it signs on there and it's open at any point in time, then you have to have a metal detector and an officer. Lock them.
Why do we need to keep, I guess the question, well, just answer the question. We do not have, these doors can't be locked because they are
Handicap.
electronically for ADA requirements, so a handicap in, the front doors are not. Okay, you're right, we've got to take them off.
So somebody comes in with a gun, and they go.
I have a concern with that.
Well, maybe we need to.
But the these doors stay on.
Huh?
These doors stay on.
No,
During the day.
It's the handicap entrance here.
no, we're just not talking about that.
Are you talking about this one? Yes,
they
stay on.
They stay locked, but not during court.
No, but that's when we've got an officer out there with a metal detector.
Right.
The signs are on the front door, not these doors.
People come in the front door. We can take them, which it's probably easier to take them all off.
Maybe, if we don't want to just take it off, maybe we create a new signage, just like a small paragraph of information that essentially states exactly what that TCA stated in regard to during judicial proceedings and.
Well, that's what the police chief told me we could do. When I referred to my memo, yeah, we could have signs put out, and on court day, we could put them in front of these doors and force them all to go through the metal detector.
Or even.
You do the same thing on a council meeting, if that's what the council
Even
wants.
just, I guess, paraphrase,
No.
no guns allowed during judicial proceedings as required by TCA
No.
code.
The basic statute says this is the language that has to be posted. They tell you what the wording is, and they tell you how big it has to be.
Gotcha.
It's specified. I know.
Tell you what. Well, I imagine where we sit right now, I'm sure there will be more discussion, but I suppose, yeah, those signs just
Take it down.
get down. And unless there's another line of thought out there.
So then what prevents someone from coming in with a firearm?
Nothing.
So then we don't have a metal detector out there.
Well, if you're gonna do it on, you're talking about for council meetings?
No, for,
Well, I want
You still have to have signage. You still have to have some type of signage to prevent someone from bringing fire into this session right now.
Right.
Correct.
Well, now, we've got 400, you could, within this building here, or within this room, you can outlaw even those carrying a permit from having a firearm
Put
here.
all these doors here.
Provided that, well, the entrance that is coming through, we've got a metal detector coming in here.
right.
And so you
So
still,
we could put a signage out there. Okay,
But you have to have signage somewhere.
but we put,
Yes.
I can have them put on a placard, put on one of the things, and put those right out here, so people know that they have to go through the metal detector.
You see where I'm
But
going?
we can't have one on the door.
Right.
Let's see where I'm going. If we take up the
Yeah.
doors, we do still need to post it
I-
somewhere.
That's what my concern is.
Yes, mine too.
My concern is that I lost a judge in Atlanta because somebody came in with a gun and shot him. And what you're saying.
Okay, so it sounds like we need signage
Forwardly marking.
that pertains to
Council
when we're having,
chambers.
when we're having
Reposition the
board
signage.
things.
Yeah. I'll reposition, yeah, that's a good word. Reposition the signs.
All right. Item B, resolution 2666.
resolution of the city council, of the city of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving bids for the operation of food and refreshment concessions for the East Ridge Parks and Recreation Department.
Okay, what we're doing on this one is just approving, we received one bid, that was from One Time Food. It's the same bid, same percentage coming to the city, 34%. They've been with the city for the past numerous years, doing a good job. And this would be, we awarded to them tonight, we offered a 3-year contract with a 1-year, which means an additional 1 year and an additional 1 year performance. This does not include the contract. There's some language that I'm talking with Councilman Cagle that we need to include in that contract. Thank the city. This is just the wording of it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 2666 for the sole bid that was received. We have a second.
I have
Yes, sir.
a question about the bid being 34%. Personally, I think that's pretty high.
That's what they proposed.
I know that, but they were gonna do a little lower than that, and they were told that the soccer league was interested in coming up with the bid, and probably wise to keep it where it's at. Reason I
Is
have
that
a problem,
34% now?
I know that, but it was gonna be probably lower than that. Reason I have a lot, I go down there to the indoor soccer, a lot of my grandkids are playing that, and people are complaining about prices being too high, and that's the reason they have to be too high, because percentage. If you're doing $2, $3 a bottle of water, you know, and you have to do that to keep, to make any money.
Then I would strongly suggest that the council throw these bids out and bid it, because I don't think you have the authority as a
Well, I know I
council
don't, but I'm just saying,
to award it at 34%. Or to award it less than 34%.
I know I can't do that, but what I'm saying is, I think somebody too, I mean, well,
I don't know the history, I would say. I just know that, you know, when you accept a bid, you either have to accept it or reject it. You can't basically lower it, because now what happens is, if you put it at 25%, somebody's gonna come in and say, well, I was gonna bid 28%, but I know they were looking for 34, so I didn't throw a bid in.
I just want to make my piece.
And we can do whatever we want to do. I hear what you're saying. I'm just doing what?
So we have a motion and a second to approve the awarding of this bid. I mean, certainly we can go in whatever direction council wants to go. We can go forward with a vote.
This is like I say, this is a three-year contract.
I can basically tell you that we've done concessions before, that I have in other cities, and we were at 17% when I was in College Park for the convention center, and I think we were at 19%, and 34% is.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's why people are complaining about the prices, is because I was doing the same thing with photography, and I had to pay $2,000 up front to take the pictures here in the streets, and didn't make any money. You know, you have to charge enough to recoup your money, and you're not gonna do it. He's agreed to do it for that, but I'm just, you know, I don't think you ought to hold him to a 3-year on that. I think he needs to come up with that. I mean, he's stuck with that for 5 years.
No, he's stuck with that right now for 3 years to the 1-and-1, depending on. The 1-and-1, basically, as he and I, you can't impose that on him. He can basically say after 3 years that I don't want to work with this contractor. That additional year is a consensus of both him and the city. And the 5th year would be a consensus between him and the city, but not the 3 years. The 3 years is a firm bid for 3 years.
That's what I was gonna ask, how the one-in-one
That
transaction.
one-in-one would have to.
Mutual
He
on
could
both
back-
parties.
He could back out after 3 years and say, I'm done.
One-in-one's mutual on both parties.
Absolutely.
Where do we want to go? We have a motion and a second to approve. We can reverse course if we feel that is what we should do. We can go forward in voting on the motion. If I don't hear anything otherwise, we're going to go ahead and proceed with a vote. 'Cause I can't do anything other than that. So, going once, going twice. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
No.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Item is approved. Item C, Resolution 2667.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, awarding annual bids for street department materials for fiscal year 2017 to 2018.
Okay, this would be to award the crushed stone to Vulcan Materials and to award the bid asphalt and other street repairs to Hiawassee Paving. Those were the two bids. We received no bid for topsoil, concrete block, or various types of drainage pipe. So we are ask those three individuals why they didn't bid those out again. But right now, we have two viable bids, crushed stone and asphalt, and we're recommending the lowest responsible bidder, Vulcan and Hiawassee Paving.
Miller says down here, is my recommendation, we choose Mid-South.
I'm sorry, wait a minute, you're right. Wait, hold on.
We let you talk too long.
You're right, Mid-South. Mid-South aggregates for crushed stone and Hiawassee Paving for asphalt.
Yeah, I asked the question, we did proceed with motion and second.
We're fairly relaxed around here, so you could
I
ask
second
the question.
I'll second the discussion.
Okay.
So in the event we don't get a bid on the others, how do we proceed?
Every time we think we get a load, we make a call around and see if we can acquire from them and then go with a little bit.
Locally, okay.
Right.
Okay. So we do have a motion and a second to accept Mid-South aggregates for the crushed stone and Hiawassee Paving for the asphalt and other street repair materials. Have any other questions? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
No. Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. And the last item, the one that we added, I can find it again, item F, Camp Jordan Parkway Streetscape Project.
Okay, we awarded this bid to Yerby Concrete Construction. The plans were drawn up by MAP Engineering. Just yesterday, I received communications from Yerby that the plans noted where the sleeve would be going east-west across Camp Jordan Parkway, but it wasn't there. They excavated down 6 feet and they can't find it. Construction plans on that had it on there. They were the engineering firm that drafted the plans and specs years ago. It's just not there. Sleeves are existent between the islands north and south. Sleeves were put in, so the islands are all connected with sleeves of the conduit. conduits there. But it does not take service across east-west Camp Jordan Parkway. So I asked them what that would cost. He said it would be a total of $3,500 for performing a directional bore and installing sleeves that's needed to service the lighting. Now, the contractor did come in with the as-built plans from Brown Brothers, who actually constructed Camp Jordan Parkway in 2015 and 2016. This was all done and completed before I came on board. The construction plans were drafted upon that. The city did not go with a CEI. We did not go with an inspector out there. So there was nobody watching this construction project going on when it was being done. This was not put in. Brown Brothers did not put it in. It's not there. When I looked at the as-built plans that they gave does not show east-west. It shows the north-south. They're there. The east-west is not shown on the as-built plans that they're required to turn in to the city. The project's complete. I need to have those east-west to be able to activate the lights. So I'm recommending that the change order of $3,500 be approved. We do have the capital outlay note that we initiated and closed on with the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund, was $750,000, so we do have the capacity to pay that $3,500 out of those proceeds. But that work has to be done. Again, it's on the plans, but it's not there in the field, it's not on the asphalts.
Brown Brothers can't do that with us.
The bid bond is gone, performance bond is gone, project was all completed and signed off by the engineers. Yes, sir, I wish I could go back on it, and that was, you know.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion to approve the change order in a second. Any other questions or comments?
Does each island have to have a sleeve, or does
Yes.
feed one and then the north-south will take care of?
Well, the sleeves actually connect, the sleeves are actually going to connect the electrical and or the irrigation piping. Those are in. Those are existent. So this $3,500 only is for, basically to get the electrical from east to west.
Are there any other comments or questions? We have the roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton? Yes. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. That item is approved. Is all that we have for tonight. Do that. I'm headed to Pennsylvania.
Going to the beautiful part.
Yes, God, that's God's country, right?
Almost.